Tales of the Lunaverse, Episode 1 by Rainbowdoubledash. An early reunion by Rainbowdoubledash. Chapter 5 The Pegasus Race. Once, when she was a little filly who still believed herself to be a simple earth pony, adopted into a family of earth pony vinters, a carnival had come into Celestia's hometown. Quita del Colin Rolante. The town's ponies nimbly shortened its name to Rulotante. This had been a major event, as traveling shows rarely made their way to Rotolande. It was not something to be missed, even in the midst of harvest season. Don't know why Gypsy's Transit Thieves just started playing. Celestia, then Condensa, had been impressed by the acrobats, astounded by the jugglers, amused by the clowns. The memory that stood most in her mind, however, were the trio of Pegasus flyers, claiming to be the fastest and bravest flyers in all of Cavilla. The trio had indeed lived up to their name, performing magnificent tricks and acts of daring do in the air, dodging lightning bolts of their own creation, and racing each other and any challengers across the sky. One even claimed that he was capable of doing the legendary sonic rainbow, though he had not demonstrated such talent at the carnival, and Celestia had personally always suggested that he was lying to make himself look good. Really, he had not needed to. Even without performing such a stunt, he had been an amazing flyer that left Celestia in awe. It was a familiar feeling of awe that now felt Celestia as she chased after Luna, who, on seeing her finally recovering from her shock and giving chase, dived down low, hovering a few feet above the tilted roofs of Canterlot's 4- and 5-story tenements, while Celestia approached carefully, the same wry grin on her features. Celestia wasn't much surprised when, just as she closed in on Luna, the blue alicorn once more beat her wings, taking to the sky easily. Celestia had to flare her wings wide to slow her motion, beating against her own inertia and aligning atop a chimney. They were kicking off and taking off to the sky once more after Luna. The princess rolled to avoid Celestia's charge, letting gravity take over as she fell to the streets of Canterlot, smirking the whole time with her back to the ground. Celestia stopped her ascent and dove after her, easily exceeding the mere pull of gravity, and closing within just a few feet of Luna before the princess put her wings to work once more, pushing away and forwards. Her downward motion stopped with minimal effort as her wings caught air currents and buoyed her away from the ground, but only just. Her shovel-shod right front hoof dangled over the rest, striking the moonlit cobblestone streets of Canterlot as he moved through them and sending up sparks as metal scraped stone. At this time of night, with only the moon and stars to provide illumination, there were precious few ponies on the streets, but there were enough that after a few moments, Luna sent herself skywards again, out of their way and toward a bank of clouds gathering over Canterlot. Celestia, once more, was not nearly so fast at changing directions. She was nevertheless swiftly after the lunar princess as she spun in the night air. Luna's direction changing from vertical to horizontal yet again as she dove between two tall cloud columns. Celestia gave chase, wings beating furiously as she moved straight ahead, making only minor adjustments to her course as she closed inaccessibly on Luna. With a flourish, Luna spun in place, letting her inertia carry her forwards until she hit a cloud sideways, and then stopped, standing on the cloud's side as though it were solid ground. Celestia's jaw dropped slightly at her sudden lack of motion, a feat she was unable to duplicate as she collided, then plunged through her cloud, sheer speed overwhelming her ability to stand on it, soaking her mane and dress thoroughly as the ice particles that the cloud was composed of collided with the heat of her body. She flapped her wings rapidly, eventually slowing down enough to bank and turn about, heading once more towards Luna, who was waiting on 1,000 feet back, having climbed to the top of the cloud. Not once had Celestia truly come close to laying a hoof on Luna. Each time it looked like she was about to, she knew she was merely because Luna had let her come so close. She expected a look of disappointment on the princess's face. Instead, as she alighted atop a nearby cloud of her own, Luna was still wearing the same wry grin. "Thou art quite fleet of wing," Luna proclaimed, "for a feathered earth pony." I am an alicorn," she insisted. "Thy voice does not contain a surfeit of confidence," Luna stated, though her grin widened by a hair of a moment. "I am unkind. Thou art, in truth, A swift and strong flyer, simply not a very agile one. Her head tilted to the side once somewhat. Of course, thou art flying with disadvantage. Celestia blinked a few times at that, before noticing Luna was not looking directly at her, but rather the soaked-through dress you wore. While its weight was negligible, it was hardly the most aerodynamic outfit, especially now that it was soaking wet with cloudwire. Ah, said Nellen, I thought it would be most appropriate if I dressed for the occasion. Luna's grin was replaced by a look of curiosity, though Celestia could only tell this was an act. Dressed for the occasion, she echoed. But thou art my sister. That is thy claim, is it not? Wherefore would Celestia dress so simply for a drawing of the night at a time like any other? It was like no other, she proclaimed. I have never seen the stars dance in the sky. Luna's head tilted aside. That is untrue, sister, she said. Thou hast witnessed many such nights. Ah? Her smile returned, this time a knowing one. Thou dost not remember? Celestia grimaced. No, I do not. I would venture that thou rememberest nothing of thy past life, Luna pressed, beating her wings a few times as she took into the air, then landed on Celestia's cloud, with the still rising moon behind her, casting a silvery halo around her body. Celestia idly wondered if Luna did that intentionally, or if it were mere coincidence. One cannot help but wonder, therefore, what brings thee to believe that thou art Celestia reborn at all? Celestia stood tall, even though at her full height she had to still look up at Luna. I am an alicorn, she stated. I am Celestia reborn. My adopted parents found me 11 months to this day from our battle, when thou badest me to the sun. Yet Celestia yet remains, Luna insisted. Celestia closed her eyes, a smile of her own on her face. Yea, and nay, sister. Thou made use of the elements of harmony. They consigned the madness and cruelty that consumed me into the sun. I am but what was left. All that was good in Celestia I still am. Of what brings thee to that conclusion? Celestia opened her eyes, looking to Luna. It is the one extra of Kavira. In conclusion with all his matriarchs and patriarchs reads out to deliberation. What other conclusion could there be? Luna's grin faded slightly at that. What indeed? She asked. She considered for a few moments. Until I am sure, I shall call thee Cadence. Cadenza. Celestia corrected, before she could stop herself. Her eyes widened and pouted out to her face. That is, I would prefer, but if thou list... Please, Luna insisted, holding out a hoof. There was a moment of silence from the alicorn before she continued. Shalt thou be Cadenza to me, then, until I am certain of thy claim? Her grin dropped a moment later, replaced by a scowl, albeit one that looked any track miles behind it, as she crept back onto the cloud she had previously been occupying. And I am disappointed in thee, Cadenza! I was right next to thee. I failed to call for a pause, but thou made no attempt to catch me. Didst thou ever play tag as a foal? Celestia blinked. What? I played it often with my sister in ages past. Gonna reminisce. There's a good chance, Cadenza, the tag is the oldest game, the first game. That or hide and seek, of course. She smiled. Back then, my sister and I cared for passes for the time. Our games could last for months, years, decades! The whole of the world was our playground. So in reality, thy name is Luna. Celestia thought, too stunned to consider the thought blasphemous. She had never expected to hear the Shepherd of the Moon, Vanquisher of the Sun, Mistress of the Starbeats, and Sovereign of Equestria reminisce about the games of tag played in her youth, uncounted millennia ago. She eventually masked. Yes, I play tag. Well, Luna said, stretching on the cloud and beating her wings a few times, though not taking to the air again. Thou wert not very good at it as a moors. Perhaps a race instead, this time without thy agility being hampered by thy dress. Celestia bristled. She hoped that the subject had slipped Luna's mind, but, in hindsight, it was foolish to believe Luna ever forgot anything. thou art weighed down by thy regalia. 'Tis only fair. Luna looked at her royal regalia, the black crown on her head, the chest plate hung from her neck, and the silver shoes around her feet. After a moment's consideration, she blinked, and they simply disappeared from her person. She spun her footlegs around and scratched her neck with the allure of her wings. "There," she said. She then looked to Celestia. "I suspect that thou art now out of excuses." Guys, I just thought about it, but what if, now work with me on this, Celestia and Luna's regalia and their armor isn't armor at all, but part of their fur. In other words, they're white all the way down, but yellow and silver at the bottom of their hoofs. Think about it, won't you? The pink alicorn blinked a few times before looking around. She said, "I have nowhere to store my dress. What's this, after all? Really, Diana, at least, I acquired it from my room in the castle. I do not wish to ruin it." Luna stared, waiting, and Celestia chewed her lip. Eventually, she let out a long sigh of resignation. "Please, princess, do not laugh," she begged. "Never," Luna promised. After a moment, Celestia's horn glowed blue as she began to remove her dress from her person. It took several minutes of fumbling with various ties, clasps, and loops of the dress, but Celestia eventually succeeded in extracting herself from it. She managed to buy herself a few more seconds by shucking the shoes and necklace that came with the garment, folding them up and into it, but at length she saw Luna waiting patiently, and so, holding her breath and scrunching her eyes shut, she turned so Luna could see her cutie mark, or rather, lack thereof. The expected gasp of surprise and barely contained snigger or discernment didn't come. Cautiously, Celestia looked one eye and found that Luna, rather than staring at Celestia like the 20-year-old blank freak she was, had her eyes locked on Celestia's own, a warm smile on her face, though she said nothing. Celestia looked to her flanks, then back to Luna. "The exile says I will have my kitty mark when I raise the sun," she explained. "That once I begin my celestial duties again, I shall be whole." Luna's smile dropped into a concerned frown. "I sincerely hope that he did not use that phrasing," he said. "Thou art whole, Cadenza, and my sister never raised the sun out of mere duty, just as I do not guide the moon and stars simply because it is expected of me. A kitty mark is not some brand indicating thy role in the world. It is thy special talent. It is what makes thee happy. If bringing the golden light of the day is what does that, revealing the blue of the sky, warming the earth that plants may grow, regulating the passes of the seasons and maternal clocks of mares that new life may be created, if that is what brings thee joy, then yes, the act of raising the sun, if thou art able, shall place its mark upon thee. But if it is otherwise, then it is otherwise, and there is nothing wrong with that." Celestia smiled at that. What Luna had said stood in dark contrast to the X-Arts, when it pressed upon Celestia that a cutie mark was a mark of one's role, passed down from the ethereal once one had found one's place in the world. Celestia's not having one yet, he had claimed, was simply the result of her needing to do the role she was reborn to do, to take steward of the sun back from Luna, and once more guide it across the skies. But between the X-Art, who, for all of his wisdom and age, was still just a mortal pony, one who likely wouldn't live out a single century, let out eons of time, and the immortal Luna, Celestia knew which one she trusted to know more about the way of the world. "Did it take thee long to discover thy talent?" she asked. Luna pursed her lips as she thought. "I don't know," she admitted. "Time was meaningless to me not long ago. Perhaps it took a day, perhaps a millennium. I cannot say." She looked back down to Celestia's dress and accessories. In a flash of deep blue light, they disappeared, and Luna hopped into the air once more, settling down next to Celestia, stretching her wings. "Now then," she said, "no more distractions. This is a test. We shall race. I shall challenge thee with rain, and lightning, and hail, and anything else I can think of. And if thou art able, thou shalt do the same to me. Thou shalt not use any thy unicorn magic at all. Only thy hoofs and wings. Celestia nodded. Well, we racing too. Luna grinned. The island of Tambalon and the sea of tranquility. She stated. They drooped down, ready to position. Celestia did likewise, each alternating before staring straight ahead. Ready? Luna intoned, her weight shifting from one hoof to another, wings swiveling. Steady! Go! Must not do lines from certain Full Metal track! Celestia kicked off from the cloud. Luna did likewise, both spreading their wings wide as they charged forward into the night. Almost immediately, Luna veered off from a straight race to Tambalon, diving straight into the largest cloud on the bank, one that was hundreds of feet tall and thousands of feet wide. Celestia watched her dive, wondering what the Princess of the Night was doing, when the cloud darkened and began to crackle electricity. It then moved, chasing after Celestia, though slowly at first. Luna emerged from the cloud after a moment, eyeing Celestia, before beginning to spin in tight circles around it, white ring brushing as she sculpted, molded, and twisted the cloud. It began picking up speed, spiraling like a tornado under Celestia, and swiftly closing the gaps she managed to put between herself and Luna. The cloud twister seized with lightning and howled with wind as it began to create a vortex ahead of itself, drawing in air, pulling back Celestia, no matter how hard she struggled. She had just enough time to cry out in surprise before she was sucked into the cloud twister. Inside, it was loud, dark, and chaotic. The cloud twister was free of debris other than herself, of course. But the pink alicorn was nevertheless buffeted about. She tried to escape through the sides or forward. Initially, though, just to let herself be spat out of the cloud twister's rear. But each time the howling winds brought her close, some new wind stream would pick her up, toss her back into the twister's center. When she thought she would reach the edge of the cloud twister and tried to plunge through, lightning would crackle and strike, warding her away. Celestia panicked as her wings flailed uselessly against the howling dark. She had never known weather as bad as this. It barely ever flown in much more than a light drizzle, in fact. Her first thought was to call upon the magic in her horn to do something. Amplify her weight, perhaps, making her too heavy to carry. But then she remembered the nature of this challenge. Luna did not appear to be holding back. She still encircled the cloud twister. Celestia could see her during brief glimpses inside of it, doing barrel rolls around her creation as she continued to use her wings to keep unnatural weather moving. For the briefest moment, Celestia felt despair, but only a moment. Narrowing her eyes against the powerful gusts, she stopped trying to fight the winds, but instead spread her wings, seeking the currents that hurled her around, altering her course to fly along with them. She stopped flailing her wings, instead gliding along the interior of the windstorm, until she was gliding along its edges, her back to the twister's interior, her legs tucked tightly against her barrel. Idly, she supposed that, with so much spinning going on, she would have thrown up all that she had eaten today had she not been an alicorn. She wondered if Luna would accept that as further proof of her heritage. Celestia no longer flying about wildly, but nor was she free from her prison of wind and storm yet. Reaching out one leg, she let the keratin of her hoof touch the spinning cloud, though her leg trembled against the wind as she did so. Instantly, on touching the cloud, Celestia could feel it, a sensation stuck from her hoof, straight up to her leg and wings, which she spread wide, stretching every feather to their limit, as she reached down her other front hoof, plunging it into the cloud, willing it to disperse. She began to stomp at it with each hoof, poking holes, ruining its shape and structure. The twister began to tear itself apart, but then a shadow passed in front of Celestia, and the holes began repairing themselves. The wind outside of the twister swerving to mold the cloud formation back into shape. Luna, safeguarding her creation as the howling winds seemed to pick up renewed strength, gliding along directly opposite Celestia on the other side of the twister. Exactly where Celestia wanted her to be. Steeling herself for several seconds, she raised her wings high and then beat them down in a single swift motion, willing the wind as they caught to be shoved forward and out of the twister. The action threw her, of course, back into the dark winds, But the gust he created shoved a 10-foot hole into the clouds, and threw Luna away from her creation as well. Celestia didn't have time to see Luna's reaction, as the winds of the twister poured toward the gaping holes he had created in the clouds, the incredible volume forcing its way through, and tearing the cloud apart in earnest now. Celestia grinned brightly, spreading her wings wide, and once again sending out another great gust, then another, blasting as many holes as he could in the twister. The chunks torn from the cloud instantly vaporizing once they were free from the magically created and sustained weather construct. Celestia let out a whoop of excitement, until a jetback, crackling cloud suddenly engulfed her. Mane and hair stood on end despite herself. She realized what was happening just in time to dive from the cloud, just as Luna gave it a firm buck with her hind hooves. The cloud flashed white as lightning coursed through it. Luna didn't give it a second buck, as he saw Celestia at escape. With a wide grin, she spun in place, pressed her front hose against the cloud, and began chasing Celestia, striking the cloud on occasion, causing it to let out flashes of lightning and bangs of thunder. For the briefest moment, Celestia thought she would outfly Luna, but that was, of course, a fool's dream, as Luna was swiftly upon her again. Celestia had little choice but to spin around and press all four of her front hooves onto the cloud, pushing it against it even as her wings beat frantically. The two alicorns slowed, then came to a stop in the air, Luna trying to envelop the cloud around Celestia. Celestia trying to disperse the cloud with her wings and hooves, but failing as Luna's own magic kept it in one piece. Celestia forgot, for a moment, that on the other end of this small black cloud was the Princess of the Night. Pure instinct took over as she did the only thing she could think of. With Luna still pushing through the cloud toward her with all her might, Celestia simply stopped doing likewise, letting herself fall into the storm cloud and kicking it through with her hind hooves. The move was not quite enough of a surprise to stop Luna from striking the cloud firmly, causing lightning to arc through it and shock Celestia. She cried out in surprise and pain, though it wasn't much, as a cloud this size simply couldn't produce enough lightning to seriously injure a Pegasus, let alone an alicorn. Celestia's move, however, was enough to catch Luna off guard. Celestia felt her two hind hooves connect with something more solid than the cloud she was passing through, even if it dawned on her that she was about to buck the scepter of the moon, Vanquisher of the sun, mistress of the star beast, sovereign of the three tribes, the Princess Luna Equestria, right in the face. Celestia gasped as she emerged from the other side of the cloud, and saw Luna tumbling away for a few moments, before she fluttered her wings wide and stopped herself, one front hoof to her mouth, and a look of utter surprise on the princess's face. Celestia's own hooves went to her mouth in shock. Beefy, I am sorry, Princess. I just got caught up. Lightning, a cloud. Her hooves flailed wildly, as though she were physically pointing out her excuses. Luna lowered her hoof from her mouth, watching Celestia gesticulate widely, her eyes still wide in shock. What? She intoned. That is it? That is all thee can muster with bucking? Celestia pressed her front hooves together. Beefy, please, do not destroy Camphilia for my affront. Instead, pass me to the sun or stars or... Wait, what? She blinked a few times as she processed what Luna had said. I thought that thou had grew up an earth pony! Surely thou can hit harder than that. Well, I wasn't really trying, Celestia said, feeling stupid as it is so. Luna grinned. I certainly hope not. Nearly fear Cadidza. I did state that thou couldn't make use of thy hooves. I did not specify that thou must restrict them to the sweeping of claws, and I gave thee leave to try and stop me in any way thou shalt wish, she said, before beating her wings a few times, and returning to the same altitude as Celestia. Shall we resume our race? She asked. Before Celestia could respond, however, Luna took off. As she flew, Luna couldn't help but feel a little disappointment. She was fairly certain she had, once again, left Cadence in the proverbial dust, probably with that same flabbergasted expression. It was quite a letdown that her blackness swallowed the princess, though all that blackness was simply replaced by a bright flash of lightning as electricity coursed through Luna's body. To Luna, who experienced far worse in her vast lifetime than mere sparks of lightning striking her body, the pain was noticeable. The far greater surprise was, as she passed through the black lightning cloud, the sight of Cadence soaring ahead of her and towards Tamberlain. And the most surprising was when Cadence looked over her shoulder and stuck her tongue out Luna, before shooting off. would have felt her heart swell at the sight, though after a moment she tempered it, putting more force behind each wing beat. For the moment, she forgot everything else. The pain of the past several centuries, and especially the past few decades. She forgot the hard work and toil that awaited her back on Canterlot. She forgot her own still lingering desire for wine in quantities that could kill a township and leave even an alicorn a drunken super. She forgot to temper that feeling in the chest, knowing the knowledge what would happen come dawn. No, for the moment, all that Luna was focused on Cadence.